Amy McGrath, it says here that the meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Woohoo, you did it.
Well, it's in my group. It's not in Worthy, so we'll wing it. All right. A few more people coming in. And we'll just get started here. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to do my best to mute everybody, but if you can all mute on your end, that would be great. What else? For those of you who don't know me, I usually have a lot of things going on, and there's a lot going on today. So be kind to us, and I'm praying that the technology gremlins are behaving and everything's going to work smoothly. But if there are any tech issues, we're going to do our best. And I think that's it. So, let me, so thank you everybody for giving up your Friday evening to hang out with us. And I met Pat a few months ago, about 6 months ago, and have been quite impressed with her. She's an amazing lady, and she showed me this presentation. I was just bombarded by it. I think it's really necessary to get out to the world. And with no further ado, Pat, take it away.
Thanks for everybody for showing up. This is just amazing. This is a new thing for me, so I'm a little bit clumped. My memory is shot, so I'm going to have to do some reading, and I hope you don't mind that. But when we were deciding what to name this thing, we came up with the word worthy, because we were thinking about how so many women don't accept the good things coming to themselves. So we're just fooling around with it, and we said, we don't want this to be just a word. We want this to be a movement, because I feel like things are shifting now, and I think women are coming into their own. And I really would love for them to get from the victim mentality into creating their own lives and feeling confident about that. And that's the whole impetus behind this. So we want women to feel good about themselves before they even get out of bed in the morning. In our presentation, we want to inspire, educate, entertain, and maybe expand your sense of self. Jackie's part of the presentation is very personal. And if you can hang in there for Jackie's part, it's going to be really worth it, because we all experience energy and carrying around stuff that doesn't belong to us. So she's going to help you release that. My part includes cartoons and ads and movie images from our culture, which have influenced many, many women. But I can only speak from my own experience as a white middle-class New York baby boomer, raised Irish Catholic. So as I go through the images, and you don't have that background, I'd like you to think about the images that have influenced your lives. No matter what our backgrounds are, there's a shared experience to being a woman. And just so you know, that if you're holding yourself back in any way, we want you to understand that it's not the real you, and we're going to help you understand that it's just programming. So now I have to get it on. How do I realize I don't know how to do this? I don't want you all to go away.
At the bottom of the screen, there's something that says share screen.
Yeah, but then I have to get to it, and there's two things behind the screen I'm looking at. Can I make this screen smaller?
Yes, but when you click share screen, it will give you options about which screen to share, and you'll be able to share the PDF.
Can I go right to my desktop?
You can share your desktop too, yeah.
Okay.
you can minimize if need be.
That's what I need to do, I think. Well, if I put on share, then I'm not getting what I really want. I want to get back to my desktop without turning Zoom off.
You can close this window that you have open now.
You
The one that
still
says
have-
Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. How about this one?
Yep.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so over the years, I've watched many friends, family members, and colleagues who are primarily givers reject the good things coming to them. And I'm talking about people of all backgrounds and incomes. Sometimes I've been shocked at who acts as if they don't deserve their success, and others who can't accept compliments, presents, attention, healing, money, or positive relationship. It's a wonder. Where does this come from? Are we born unworthy? I don't think so. Have you ever seen a newborn baby hesitate to ask for food when they're hungry? No. And if you think about it, we've all been babies. So when did that change? If we're all born with the ability to ask for what we need or what we want, then how did we lose that ability? I want to know because I believe there's a huge connection between feeling worthy and creating a life that is happy, satisfying, and has purpose. I came to the conclusion that as we grow up, our sense of self-worth develops two ways: externally, from what others tell us, and internally, from what we continue to tell ourselves. The outside world is always sending us messages through song lyrics, social media posts, memes, slogans, magazine covers, and television shows. In addition, we get other images from computers, phones, billboards, movies, newspapers, flyers, you name it. It's an endless stream. And even though there are a lot of positive messages available to us, for some reason, we tend to focus on the negative ones, the ones that reinforce the idea that we are not enough. So let's first start with a message that is more positive and fun, like what my generation was exposed to when we were little and watching cartoons. One thing we learned was size doesn't matter when you have self-worth. You know Tweety Bird here, the tiny Warner Brothers character who was self-confident, content, and clever. And when pitted against his archenemy, Sylvester the cat, who is 3 times the size and a bit slow, but no matter what the scenario, Tweety wins every time. This was a miracle, since in real life, if he had feet that size, he wouldn't be able to walk. And since I was short, the message I got from this character was encouraging. Hey, you can live by your wits, have fun, and be in charge. Cartoons and comic books get us dreaming about what if we had some of those characteristics for real. Back in the day, comic book superheroes were mostly guys. They like Superman. They could do things like fly and pick up cars. They had big muscles at a time when no one in real life worked out, and they always showed up to save the day. I can imagine back then that all young boys who read comic books got pretty excited about the idea they might one day see through walls or fly above buildings. It must have been tough when they realized that that wasn't happening. When I was in elementary school in the 50s, the images I saw about women were mostly in domestic or romantic roles. That's why the cartoon strip Brenda Starr was my favorite. She was a journalist. She fascinated me and gave me hope that there was life after laundry. Look at that hair. It's so optimistic. Many years later, I was blessed to be at an event celebrating the 50th anniversary of the National Cartoonist Society. It was at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. Yeah, it was pretty fancy. That's why I met Dale Messick, Brenda Starr's creator. She was 92 years old and had the energy of this drawing. As an old woman, she was present and on fire, still spunky and full of life. What a character. I was in awe of her. Meeting her did not disappoint. Sometime later, my cartoonist husband and I were invited to dinner in Santa Rosa, California with 3 other couples. One of those couples was Charles and Jeannie Schultz. I thought, how exciting is this? I get to meet Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Woodstock, Linus, and Lucy all at once. I had once in a lifetime experience and got to sit next to Sparky. That was his real nickname. I was a bit intimidated, but he was a soft-spoken man, and that put me at ease. Over dinner, he told me a couple of things that really got my attention, like how he always wanted to be a writer. I thought, does everybody want to be somebody else? Even people who are enormously successful? You mean that's not the kind of thinking just for regular people who hate their jobs, but famous people think like this too? That was a shock. He told me a story that he ended with, who am I to give advice to this famous actor? I didn't say it because I didn't really know him, but what I wanted to say is, you're Snoopy's dad. Was he questioning his self-worth? Maybe, or was he just tired? Or maybe a little bit of both. Meanwhile, his wife, Jeannie, had just started trapeze in her late 60s. Oh man, I was only dreaming of adventure and this woman was living it. Who does that? If we look at the impact on women from advertising images, Rosie the Riveter comes to mind. In fact, now that I think about it, Jeannie Schultz reminds me of her. She has that can-do spirit and a vision of herself that does not accept limits. This ad has to be considered one of the most effective ever. This is what my mother's generation saw in the 1920s during World War II. This image was aimed directly at American women and suggested to them that there was enough confidence in their abilities to be included. Women were actually being recruited to play an important role in defending the country. And look at how proud she is of those biceps. But only a few years later, women were pressured to give those jobs up to men coming home from war. Women were expected to have babies and raise families and be happy with the new washing machines and vacuum cleaners. After all, those machines were designed to make their lives easier than the lives their mothers had experienced. As a young girl, these were the images I saw. They were everywhere, in magazines and newspapers. What kind of message does this send out to young girls? I still break out into a sweat when I look at this ad. Does this feel empowering to you? How does this image inspire the can-do spirit? The message here was, you can be happy doing housework, but what I saw in person with all the moms was suburban isolation. And I never saw any mom wearing a dress like that to clean the toilets. At the time, I didn't understand why my own mother, a 1942 graduate from Queens College in New York City, bought this suburban lifestyle hook, line, and sinker. I was not inspired. I didn't read comic books, so I didn't know about Wonder Woman too much later. I think this book, The Secret History of Wonder Woman, might have helped me understand what was going on. It's written by a Harvard professor, Jill Lepore. It explains so much about women's history and the impact of comic books in our culture. In the mid-50s, I was considered a tomboy. I was athletic, I climbed trees, and wore cowboy boots so I didn't have to match my socks. In those days, having muscles was frowned upon. In fact, I remember one time standing on a box while my mother was hemming my dress on my way out to a dance, which, P.S., I did not want to go to. I remember getting bored. The dress was sleeveless, so I started flexing to check out the size of my own biceps. She corrected me, stop that. Girls are not supposed to have muscles. What a buzzkill. I learned so much from Professor Lepore's book, like who this guy was, William Moulton Marston. He studied at Harvard for 10 years, where he got 3 degrees, a bachelor's degree, a degree in psychology, and a degree in law. But more importantly to me, he's the man who created Wonder Woman for comic books. And this is his quote from 1939. Within 100 years, women will rule the world. Hang in there, ladies, it's only 19 years away. Marston was ahead of his time. He believed women were superior beings because of their capacity for love. He believed that the power of love was greater than the power of force, hence the quote. And he loved women. In fact, he loved them so much, he was married to 2 of them at the same time. And they all volunteered for this. That's Elizabeth Holloway on the left and Olive Byrne on the right. They had a mysterious and alternative lifestyle that they lied to everyone about. Interestingly enough, Marston was credited with inventing the lie detector test, but he probably couldn't have passed his own test if he had been hooked up to it and asked questions about his family life. Both women were highly educated, but had trouble finding jobs that were not just about assisting men in their careers. Elizabeth had a law degree, but could only get a job as a legal secretary at the time. Eventually, she became the co-editor of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Not too shabby. Olive worked as Marston's assistant, and after the kids were born, she stayed home to be the nanny. But Marston was a complex guy, and his story goes deeper with Olive's family. This is Olive's mother, Ethel. There's a reference to her in the movie when Wonder Woman leaves Themyscira and goes to London. In that scene, she tries on clothes and picks out a suit that is really similar to the one Ethel is wearing in this photo. After reading the book, I felt this scene was honoring Ethel's life. In 1917, she was arrested in New York City, tried, convicted, and sent to jail for illegally teaching and distributing birth control to women. At the time, there were horrific stories of women bearing so many children because of the unavailability of birth control. In protest, Ethel immediately went on a hunger strike, because in prison, denying food was the only thing she had control over. Prison officials were freaking out that she might die, so they force-fed her milk and eggs through a rubber tube. What was society telling women with that kind of treatment? How can any woman feel worthy under conditions like these? What kind of impact did her story have on the girls and young women of their day? Despite all the marches and all the protests, birth control didn't become legal until the 1960s, which is when I was in my 20s. I remember the battle, and to me, it wasn't that long ago. This is Ethel's sister, Margaret Sanger. Both Ethel and Margaret were arrested for opening the nation's first birth control clinic. Margaret is considered the founder of what is now Planned Parenthood. Her quote clearly states the basis of her mission. No woman can call herself free who does not own and control her body. Since birth control was illegal, the consequences for teaching or distributing it at the time were brutal. These days, clinics have been shut down in states all over the country, denying young women the help they really need. Again, in 2020, what kind of messages are young women receiving from today's society about owning their own bodies and feeling empowered and worthy? So in the first half of the 1900s, Marston was married to two women at the same time. Here he is with his wives and kids. They all lived happily together, and they told everyone that Elizabeth was his wife and Olive was the nanny, even though at least one of these kids was hers. I don't even think the kids knew. But what fascinates me, not only did Marston have a complicated home life, but he was married into a family of women who had actively marched and put themselves in danger in pursuit of women's rights. In other words, in early 40s, when women continued to have so little control over their own lives, Marston created a really popular female comic book superhero who had the freedom to do whatever she wanted. I'm starting to like this guy. Wonder Woman comic books must have been so much fun for little girls to read. Think of the stories that these little girls heard from their mothers, grandmothers, and the women who came before them. Most likely, they did not have the vocabulary or the awareness to process what had happened in their lives. So their energy of these women got passed down from generation to generation. And it's possible that we still carry around the energy of those feelings, so hidden inside of us, we don't even know they're there. The energy of not being seen or heard. This is an example of Marston's early drawings of Wonder Woman. I just love this caption.
There's the food.
Why did they bind me with such small
Did you go to
children?
his house?
It's an insult. Was Marston,
Oh.
was Marston expressing the frustration his wives had with the outside world? I don't know, but I like it because this is my message too. Ladies, you don't have to live like a victim. You can save yourselves. But hold on. Fast forward over 70 years, and what do you see when we channel surf on television? A show called Special Victims Unit. Words are powerful. They have energy. And I remember when the word special meant something good. What kind of message does this title have for young girls who are starting to figure things out? That being
Easy, easy.
special? Marston was ahead of his time. 2017 brought us an amazing live action version of his comic book character. I saw this movie over and over again, bringing my friends. I didn't understand why at first, but I just felt there was a huge story here. And that story was clarified for me in Jill Lepore's book, The Professor from Harvard. I highly recommend it. So here we are, 100 years after women get the right to vote, and we're still hearing outrageous stories of human trafficking, domestic violence, and girls not being allowed to get an education in countries far away. At the same time, we get this fabulous movie of an empowered female character that has many layers to it. She's really smart. She's got power, strength, beauty, compassion, and best of all, she's in alignment with her true self. In fact, the whole movie proved to investors that there were some pretty powerful and creative women capable of being in front and behind the camera. In the history of Hollywood, this is the first time a woman was allowed to direct a movie with a blockbuster budget. That's the director, Patty Jenkins, on the left. And on the right is Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman. Jenkins' direction and Gadot's performance created a masterful image, one that is a far cry from the advertising image of the 50s woman dressed up to clean the toilets. These two women are great role models for girls today. This movie took in $800 million at the box office. I don't know many men who were interested in going to see it until their wives, girlfriends, or daughters dragged them to the theaters. So my question is, and I like to ask a lot of questions, who bought $800 million worth of tickets? When you think about it, this movie had an enormous impact on women and girls everywhere, and it was a positive one. Think of the impact on young girls in the audience when they see these incredibly fit women galloping towards the camera. They ride with such confidence. They flip their bodies around like gymnasts. It's so much fun to watch. These are exciting images created by women, with women, for everyone to see. How inspiring is that? What's the message to young girls? Do these female characters project a sense of self-worth? Are these women working together? Are they capable of handling any challenge? Do they matter? It certainly seems so. Finally, a movie that gives us images of women who are living from choice with a higher purpose. Of course, they're comic book characters, but sometimes inspiration is more impactful when it comes to us through fiction. Self-worth starts at home, or at least it could. Kids learn from watching us, but how can we pass on a sense of worthiness if we don't have it ourselves? I love this image. A young girl being nurtured by an experienced mom who, besides being a loving mother, has leadership qualities, inner strength, and character. She knows who she is, and she's claiming it. In the comic book world, this is considered an origins movie, one that takes a superhero character from childhood to adult coming into awareness of who they really are. In a way, aren't we all doing this? Growing up and coming into our own power? At least that's what we could be doing. I love how the director portrayed Wonder Woman's relationship with men, one of mutual respect. She knows who she is, and she makes her own decisions, and they don't try to change her. And she does her best to understand them. Remember, this is a comic book, and she's a demigod, and they are human. But she respects them and doesn't try to change them either. They know who they are. When women are aligned with their true selves, there is a confidence and inner peace which replaces the need for changing anyone. In this movie, Wonder Woman considers other viewpoints, but never lets anyone talk her out of what she wants to do or what she feels is her mission. Everything she does is filtered through her beliefs, her experiences, and what she wants to explore and learn. She's in alignment with her true self and takes action. Here she is arguing with her mother over what she feels is their purpose as a group. She does so with love and respect, but realizes that she alone has to act. She cannot control what others do. We watch her come into awareness of her own power and strengths and how to use them. How about us? Do we know what our own strengths are? Do we know when to use them? Do we really know how to defend ourselves if the opportunity arises? Knowing why we need to defend ourselves begins with self-worth and follows with setting boundaries. It also means that it's okay to feel anger and rage if the situation calls for it. But anger and rage can't coexist when we're programmed to be nice all the time. Sometimes nice gets in the way of feeling worthy enough to defend ourselves. Ultimately, being in alignment means living in a place of worthy. It means being soul-centered and confident in the value of our own lives. It means accepting the whole self, no matter what. Through the metaphor of a comic book, then, I see this movie and this portrayal as giving us the message that freedom is ours if we want it. But like Wonder Woman, we have to get to the point where we claim it. Now back to reality. As we grow up, we develop a story in our heads of who we are and what it means. What we tell ourselves can be a game changer. Some of the beliefs that we've developed growing up can still be limiting our sense of self and could be holding us back. Those are the times we embrace fear, self-doubt, and pain. Those are the times when we give away our power. Those are the times we feel unworthy. So when we get to the point when we're looking for a change, or we're looking for more satisfaction or more happiness, how do we do that? I think we start by looking at what's really going on. I'm calling it living the big picture. To begin with, our self-worth does not come from a human source, it comes from a divine source. Let me explain this drawing very briefly. The 2 lines at the bottom of the drawing represent our individual space on Earth at any given time. That is where we live, where we work, or where we play, where we are present. This could be your kitchen, the supermarket, your school, or where you are sitting right now. The stick figure represents the time we have in this physical body to interact with the physical world. It's where all of our emotions and all the drama of life take place. The halo does not represent a particular religion, but rather our higher self and all that is divine. It's an unlimited source of wisdom and guidance. When we're aligned with all 3, we connect with the big picture, our true selves. We feel our whole presence. To me, being in alignment means embracing the idea that our lives are sacred. Our lives are more than what we see. The moment we're born, we become the link between heaven and earth. And that gives us the opportunity to consciously connect the 2 worlds. At any moment in time, we have a lot going on. We are an integral part of the divine plan. And once we are born, we have the opportunity to experience life, and through that experience, come to awareness that instead of accepting that life is just happening to us, we can create what we want. Esther Hicks has been talking about this for 30 years. You can Google her. In other words, we're still evolving. This image, for example, can represent the evolution in awareness of humans from cluelessness to worthy, from beginning of time to now, or this could represent different members of your family. You can decide who's who. Or this could be your day every time you learn something new. This image also shows us that no matter what, we can get there. The place of awareness where we feel happy just to be alive. The place where we don't blame others for our misery. The place where we make healthy choices. The place where we focus on our well-being and where we can see the innate well-being of others. This is why, as Souls First, we really celebrate birthdays, because we've all signed up for our own Mission Impossible. In fact, right now, we should all be congratulating ourselves for having accepted this amazing and complex challenge. I believe during this time of COVID, the universe has been telling us that we all have ignored our true selves for too long, and now it's time to get back into alignment. When we get into alignment, we become inspirations for others to do the same. Imagine if enough people got in touch with their true selves, we could create a new world with new perspective on humanity. Isn't that the kind of contagiousness we really want? So if we're born with this, why do we get out of alignment? To find that answer, we just have to look through the eyes of our everyday self. Life is unpredictable, at times dramatic and overwhelming. Everyday life can distract us from our true selves. And in those overwhelming moments, we can feel all broken up. That's when we allow ourselves, our sense of worth, to be compromised. But in truth, no one can take away our sense of self-worth unless we forget who we are and what we're here to do, to repair that feeling of brokenness. And we are freaking amazing, no exceptions. So why is it important to stay in alignment? Because that's where our lives make the most sense. That's where it feels right. It's the perspective that includes our inner life as well as our outer life. Being in alignment allows us to accept the good and the bad because we know there's a greater purpose to all of it. I know this because it happened to me. I know that being out of alignment means feeling hopeless and worthless. Being out of alignment means getting overwhelmed with the bad and not deserving of the good. Being out of alignment is when we get stuck in a place where the joy is gone and doesn't feel like it's ever coming back. But the good news is that I found out it's never too late to change all that at any age. It's what's allowing me to talk to you right now. Getting back into alignment makes us feel alive again. When we feel alive, we're able to be present in the moment, and the moment is where our life is actually happening. The moment is the time when all of our focus, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritual, is on one activity. It's like a car firing on all cylinders, all ready for one event. And it can feel really exciting, even when we are experiencing the most mundane chore. Thich Nhat Hanh has been teaching us this since the 70s in the Vietnam War. Anxiety, worry, and depression, that's all a reaction to our thoughts. Training our minds to shift our attention from those thoughts allows us to push the reset button in a healthy way. What else do we feel when we're in alignment with our true self? We feel worthy and ready to accept the good things in life, like compliments, presents, money, deeper relationships, a satisfying career, a yearning to know more about ourselves and the nature of life. The possibilities for learning and growing are endless. And the more we are aligned, the more we can enjoy doing for others without feeling used. When we're in alignment, we make different choices for ourselves, ones that are healthy. That's when we begin to attract people of like minds who help us and support us on our mission as we do on theirs. So what if we're feeling out of sorts and want to get back to feeling whole? How do we do that? How can we handle all the different energy we carry around? How do we let go of thoughts that hold us back? How do we get back to feeling empowered and worthy? The answer is by going through the healing process. Healing is not curing. It's a process by which our free wills let go of the energy we don't want to carry around anymore, so we can continue to move forward and be creative at any age. When we heal, we get unstuck. We minimize the external influences and we change what we tell ourselves. When we change our thinking, we change our behavior. And when we change our behavior, we get different results. I think we are living in an extraordinary time of evolution of awareness. When we heal, we get back into alignment with our true self and claim it. It's always a good time to look for people and things and activities that feed our energy and feed our spirit. It's always a good time to start living from choice. It's never too late. I could go on for hours, but we don't have hours. So the question is, are you ready to use your free will and live the big picture with meaning and purpose? Are you ready to focus on the unconditional love that is available to everyone, including you? Are you ready to live free in the moment and share your gifts? Are you ready to feel worthy? My name is Pat McGrath, and I just want to say that the biggest adventure you can ever have on earth is to get into alignment with your true self. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed a bit of entertainment, information, and inspiration. You are amazing beings, and if you would like to know more about getting into alignment with your true self, you can get our contact information at the end of our talk. Now let's hear from my amazing friend and colleague, Jackie Kane. She will make this all personal and guide us through a powerful exercise for ancestral clearing. Jackie's work is magical. I don't know how she does it. She just asks questions, and before you know it, your pain starts to go away, and then your life changes. So, Jackie. Okay.
Jackie, you're muted.
Thank you, whoever said that. Just let me set something up here. Okay, so remember, I'm keeping track of everything. Thank you all for your patience, everybody. And thank you, Pat, for that awesome information. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jacqueline Kane. I'm a medical intuitive and a pain specialist. My health is great today, but there was a time when I was living with chronic physical pain in my low back and hips, and I was experiencing depression and feeling stuck and trapped. At a time when I was meditating with an Indian master, working out at the gym, seeing a psychotherapist, and I was still not living the life I desired. I was doing everything I thought that could help, but I was still so disconnected from what I truly wanted. I was not happy with where my life ended up, and I started wondering why. This all sent me on a journey of self-discovery to learn why I ended up in that condition. What I discovered was that there were beliefs and programming inside of me that I didn't even know were there. I hired coaches and healers and teachers and learned new ways to uncover those beliefs that were creating the blocks that were holding me back. I learned how to clear those blocks, which then changed my life for the better. I am now pain-free, and my passion is to help others who have the same struggle I had, to live a life with pleasure, passion, and power. Today, I'd like to show you what's possible for you. I'm going to help you see the ancestral energy that you are carrying. I'm going to teach you how that ancestral energy is impacting your sense of worth. And I'm going to guide you through a process to clear that ancestral energy and show you how to step into your power so you can live life on your terms. First, let's address the fact that the energy you are carrying can be having a huge impact on your sense of self-worth. When your self-worth is compromised, it impacts these 5 areas of your life. If you are not owning your worth, it's impacting these areas: your physical health, conflicts in your relationships, your cash flow, your spiritual connections, and your ability to be authentically you. I believe a lot of what stops us is the hidden energy of our ancestors, the kind of energy they passed down to us that they were not able to process or clear. And it all starts in our mother's womb. For 9 months, we take on all of her energy. We take on her worries, concerns, joys, and excitement. It's where we also take on the energy of our ancestors that she took on. So not only do we take on beliefs and thoughts and programming, we take on their health conditions, their pain, and their suffering. There are studies being done now that scientifically prove how Holocaust survivors' children inherit the generational DNA of trauma. In other words, ancestral energy. In my own family, I had to discover that my grandmother's experience during World War II involved raising 3 children alone while my grandfather was away fighting the war. My grandmother lived in occupied Sardinia, Italy, while seeing German soldiers walking around town every day. My grandmother never talked about the fear she must have felt during that time. Back then, no one talked about that. Emotions were suppressed so deep inside, it just became a part of them. When family members don't process their own emotions, the next generation is left dealing with their behavior without understanding what is behind the behavior. It can be a big mystery. And I think this is really important, so let me just repeat it one more time. When family members don't process their own emotions, the next generation is left dealing with their behavior without understanding what is behind the behavior. It's a big mystery. Even years later, my grandmother told us her stories without emotion, like it was a matter of fact. And I dearly loved my grandmother. But it wasn't until I got older that I could imagine the worry and fear she must have carried around every day. As a grandchild, what did that teach me? How could I express my fears and concerns if nobody around me was doing it? And how was that for my mother? What did she suppress about her growing up years and unknowingly passed down to me? None of my family members ever talked about their emotions. Children who grow up like this can begin to feel responsible for the adults when it should be the other way around. That's a burden as a child that can turn into a block when that child grows up. It got so ridiculous that it wasn't until 5 years ago that I discovered that my mother was blind in one eye. It took me 49 years before I learned she had this challenge with everyday life. One day when I was thinking of how hard I was working to create a successful business, I realized how much of my energy was going towards carrying around a lot of energy for my mother. This was my programming. I didn't even know I was doing it. But when I understood that and came into awareness of it all, I began to see that you cannot carry what is not yours. It will hold you back. That's what happened to me. It's been a journey that has taught me that letting go of my ancestral energy was the key to me living my own life. When I discovered it and got the help to learn how to clear it, my life completely turned around. Today, I feel so much happier with myself, and I'm seeing the results I have been after for years. This is my work, and this is my calling, and this is what my life is about. Helping others to know what I know about releasing fear and pain and getting on with life and feeling worthy. If this resonates with you, ask yourself these questions. What are you choosing in your life? How are you chasing or choosing to live your life? How are you chasing your dream life? Do you believe you have a choice? And how is it impacting you living your desired life? So at this time, I know we gave you a lot of information. I would love to take somebody through a process. And as I take one person through it, I want everybody else to follow along and do theirs. So is there anybody who would like to do that? Wonderful. Susan?
There we go.
And I'd kind of like to take maybe two people.
Christina was on the
Would you
chat.
like to, Amy? Okay, I'm going to take three people, actually. I'll take Denise too, okay?
Okay.
Let me, so as we're going through this again, I want everybody to follow along. I ask these questions, okay? So for Amy, Denise, and Susan, first, if you three can unmute, and Susan, when it comes to your family, when you think of your family, what is the energy that they've been carrying when you think of them?
The women are poor. The women are poor. The women are subservient. The women are subservient to men, and they're poor.
Okay. Okay. And how about you, Denise?
I would say the same. There was always, scarcity thinking, clipping coupons, buying sales. My grandmother would do this. It's like my grandfather had her under his thumb and she'd grind her thumb into her palm. Oh, it's like that's the subservient. A lot of depression thinking. Yep. And women were not allowed to step up to the male authority.
So they were kind of controlled.
I would say so. And there's an aspect to it as well, though. Both Granny and my mom also found ways to either cheat money or hide money, or they had ways of relating so that they could get my grandfather and dad to do what they wanted. So there's
hiding money. Yeah, hiding money.
And then hidden power machinations, which totally exist within me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Amy, how about you?
No, we're not talking just about the women, right? We're talking about the family, the ancestors, or are we talking about just the women?
No, not just the women, the family. Yeah.
Okay. I would say fear, scarcity, hiding of female sexuality and sexuality in general, formal education being valued over inner knowing, and the head being valued over the heart.
Okay, can you say the first few things again, Amy? What was the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
energy of it?
Fear,
Fear.
lots of fear, and scarcity.
And fear around anything in particular?
I would say fear around money, fear around success, fear around what others think.
Okay, good. So for everybody else, just write down the energy of the family, whether it was fear, scarcity, even if it's certain pain issues. Some people, some families say, oh, heart conditions run in our family or this or that. So whatever it is, focus on that energy. And so now I'm going to mute everybody, okay? And I want you to tune in to this energy that we've been talking about. And first I want everybody to take 3 deep breaths. So you're going to take 3 deep breaths and bring that energy and that oxygen all the way down your body, down into your feet, into your toes. And now I want everybody, because you're all muted, I want you to say I, and you're going to state your name. Bring back my energy from all the places I've left it. You're going to say that 2 more times. So I, and state your name. Bring back my energy from all the places I've left it. And 1 more time, I, and state your name. Bring back my energy from all the places I've left it. And now I want you to tune into that energy of your family that we were just talking about. And I want you to bring that energy outside of your body. So for some of you who do energy work or are used to energy, this may be easy. For those of you who may have a little bit of a hard time, just sense where this energy would be in your body. And if you focus on that energy, some people will see it, some people will sense it, and bring that energy outside of you into a ball in front of your heart. And for those of you who have children, you can even tune into your children and see them gathering their energy and bring it outside of them and add their ball to your ball of energy. And as a signal to me that you have most of that ball outside of you, just nod your head. Great. And now I want you to tune in to bring your parents into this visualization. And you're going to hand this ball of energy back to them. And you're going to let them know that you've carried this long enough and it's time to hand this back. And tune into them saying to you, I never wanted my child to carry this. It's time to let this go. And then tune in and see all of your ancestors lining up as they pass this ball of energy, scarcity, fear, all the way back through time, from one generation to the next, and to the next. And if there's one ancestor that's having a hard time, just bring in a strong ancestor to help them pass it back. And allow this ball of energy to go all the way back through time to its very beginning. And you may just sense when it gets there. Some of you will know. And again, as a signal to me, when it gets back to its very beginning, just nod your head. Good. And now tune into this golden liquid light, this healing energy that's coming down from the heavens. And it's transmuting that energy into its complete polar opposite of unconditional love, acceptance, abundance, and a sense of deserving. And see that new energy coming through each one of your ancestors. And as it does, it illuminates their entire being. See them lighting up with excitement for possibilities and opening up to something new. And allow this new energy to come down from one ancestor to the next, all the way down. As it comes down to you. And then allow this new energy to come down through your head, down through your neck, down your arms, down your chest, and allow it to come down into your abdomen. And all the way down your legs. And if you have children, allow this new energy, vitalized energy, to come down into your children. And then ground this new energy of vitality and abundance down deep into the ground. And ground in this new way of being. As you open up your heart and bring this new energy of who you are into the world. And then when you're ready, come back to the here and now. If anybody would like to share. Sue, how was that for you?
Oh, I'm unmuted. It was it's always very good. And as I was doing this, I was thinking you can't do this enough, because my experiences with this, and I've been doing a lot of this lately, as you know, and this particular one of passing this back and passing that energy back. There's always a shift. I can always feel it. And I don't know if it's my headphones or what, but there's a current here. And I don't know, this is a different experience I've had, but so I don't know. It was really cool. Thank you.
The more you do it, the more you open up
It's amazing.
your channel. Nice. How are you doing, Denise?
Yeah, so I really got that visualization of a big ball of energy and hand it back to my mother and her parents. And there's a lot of shame attached to accepting money from the government, whether it was, I know in my family for a short amount of time, we got some food assistance when my dad got laid off, and it was like, don't ever tell anybody, don't air your dirty laundry, but shame. So it's been hard for me applying for some of the government programs due to COVID as a business owner. It is having an economic impact, but passing that ball back, and it was like the big black ball, and people were really, not lifting their heads. They were so ashamed as it went back. And then it got so big that nobody could hold it anymore. So then they were rolling it on the ground until it couldn't be rolled. And then there was the connection that one of the ancestors, they literally vomited on it. They were sick to their stomach with so much shame. So it was like, well, okay then, so then the clearing part felt really good, and not as much on my dad's side, but there was a little bit of that, head down. But over the course of this process and the releasing, the ancestors were able to hold their heads up. No, they did really well. They worked really hard. They could be proud of what they accomplished. And it's like, so I feel like I'm sitting up very tall. I feel like I'm straight, the energy's flowing. It's like, it feels really good.
Good.
I've gotten to a point with my ancestors where they just get so excited about throwing it back, and they're very excited about the new energy coming forward, where there's actually like a line of them that are like cheering and excited. It's each time I've done this, and the more I've done this particular one, it's gotten more exciting for my relatives. And I've got many cousins that struggle. They survive. They're, they own homes and stuff, but they're not living a life of abundance, and they just accept that as their plight. And they're right in there cheering and excited. So it'd be really great if this started to change their realities as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and they have worked really hard. They had it super tough, and they're onto that energetically, and it is impacting us. So yeah, good. How are you doing, Amy? Oh, muted.
There I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It was really emotional for me. I mean, it was one of those things where the tears just flowed, and it wasn't like a blocked thing. It was just a real opening and a flowing. It felt really great to take that energy outside of myself and to pass it all the way down. I was having trouble envisioning like how ancient people were, and so eventually it felt like it kind of faded into a vagueness of old ancestors. But yeah, it felt really great to take it onto my own children too, and to take that away from them and give it back to them. Just super powerful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Anybody else want to share? Was anybody able to go through the process? We're here if anybody wants to share. Just trying to pay attention to the notes. So that's all we have for you this evening. There's a lot of things that can change. I do believe that so many people are suffering today because they're carrying the ancestral energy. And we're going to leave you in this state. If you have any questions, we would love to connect with you. Pat and I have partnered together and we're creating some really great programs. So if anybody would like to get a hold of us, and if people want to check in with us and have a chat and see how we can help you get unstuck, I will be leaving the links so that you can get on the phone with us and talk. There's time all weekend. So if anybody has any questions, otherwise,
I had a quick
thank you
question.
again so much for being here.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So it sounds like some people have done this more than once. So this is something we should do regularly, or
I suggest doing it when you're feeling stressed and when things are not going well. The more you do it, the more you're able to clear your energy and bring in a shift into a new energy. But if you're living with physical pain that you're unable to get rid of, if you're feeling stuck, if you aren't able to reach your goals, if you're not living the life you desire, then let's have a chat to find out, help you get to the root cause of why that is. So there's a lot of your subconscious.
There, you ask if we do this more than once, but in my experience, there are so many different layers to what's holding us back and creating pain. I've worked with Jackie for some time and have enjoyed working with Pat as well. And so my experience has been that sometimes we don't really know what's down there, and there's particular things within this. It's really great to pass that back. And that's a really, it's really cool when that happens. But some of the stuff that we need to clear, Jackie's been really great at pulling that out. And there were things that we discovered, or she helped me discover, that I never would have even remembered or been able to say, hey, this is holding me back. I went to Jackie for a completely different reason than what I got out of this. I went to Jackie because I felt there were barriers to my success. And so when I went there, that's where we started. I had shoulder pain, I had lower back pain, I had knee pain, and I could hardly walk on my foot. And I was a presenter that had to stand on my feet for hours at a time. I suddenly realized that I was able to roll over on a Bowen table or a massage table without pain, that I was able to do it. She didn't have to help roll me over. And I found that there were so many different things that she had dug into that I never would have guessed were holding me back. It's been an amazing journey of healing and success and giving myself more room in my body. And that's a kind of a hard thing, I think, to understand until you've experienced it, that I have this like big open tank and there was more. And you say, well, what are you going to fill that space with? You fill it with great things and peace. And it's been a great journey. This isn't a one and done kind of thing. And Pat brings some things to the table that I've just started working with that are really amazing. So as you get into this, what I found was there's just layers. There's layers. It's like that onion that we always hear about. So I thank you, Jackie and Pat. Pat, that was a really, really wonderful first part. I really enjoyed it. This went really quick. And I'm going to tell you something, ladies, and you've heard me moan and groan. I don't like sitting through these things. And this was absolutely fabulous. It went so fast. It was so interesting. And I enjoyed every minute of it. So thank you.
So Carol had asked about, are there slides? So this is all recorded actually. We're recording it live on Facebook. It's streaming there, but we can also send out the recording of this so you'll have it and you'll have that meditation to do. Carol, you asked about more information. Definitely, I left the link in here. So, and I will be sending it out to everybody. So if you want to get on a phone and figure out exactly what you need to do to get unstuck, we will do that with you. All right.
Okay.
Pat, do you have any more words of wisdom?
Jackie, I would just like to say that I go along with what was already said, since I've been working with you, I went to you for pain. I had a lot of pain in my body for years and years and years, and nothing seemed to, whether it's surgery or pain medication, therapy, or whatever, it might have minimized it somewhat, but 24/7, I was always in pain. And after working with you on one aspect and moving on to the other and getting into this EFT, and I can joyfully say that I take absolutely no anti-inflammatories. I take no pain medication, and I feel better than I've ever felt in the last probably 50 years. So it's layers and layers and layers, as Susan said, and um, you just, once you learn the techniques, you just can do it for yourself, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So
Getting younger and younger, actually, Joyce is.
pardon?
I think so too.
Joyce is getting younger and younger.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually I feel younger now than I did 10 years ago. So, well,
Yeah,
and
this is-
Susan says she has a great way. There was so much in my childhood that I simply didn't remember, and she has this intuition that just says there's something
Yes.
you're not saying, and before
Yep.
you know it, you're saying it. Where did that come from? It's amazing. It's very, and it's so gentle. So, yeah, that's a good word of putting it. It's gentle. It's not. It doesn't attack you. So,
Yeah,
In this conversation, though, we're talking about Jackie, but Pat also has a lot to bring to the table besides what she said, and she's kind of a hidden gem in all of this. So there's more to this story.
I think I can stand up at this point because Pat has been my spiritual teacher, my guide, my sister for the last 40 years. And of all people in this world, Pat is probably the only woman that I've learned the most about myself is through Pat and the exercises that we've done and the things that we've worked out. And Jackie, I just sit here and I think that the energy between the two of you is so powerful, and I'm really excited that you two have connected. This is a really exciting time that you two meet and get it together.
Kathy, I love that. Thank you so much. And I just want you to keep on talking so I can listen to that accent.
Oh, and so New York.
My El Paso accent in the middle of the desert, they still don't know where I'm from. They actually think I'm from England, that little place called Long Island.
Well, we have another New Yorker here, Joe.
Yeah. Stephanie, it's so good to see you. It's been too long, and I send my condolences to you and your family, but I always love seeing your smile.
I'd like to say a quick word about Jackie. Pat, I love, and as soon as COVID permits her in my home, I cannot wait for her to work her magic here. But I just very, very briefly, I promise, just want to say that I actually went to Jackie because I was stuck and I knew it. And I had given my money away to numerous people that claimed they could help me and couldn't. And Jackie, of course, got me very skeptical because I'd already wasted so much money. And I really challenged her, and man, she got me unstuck. She, we talked about, Joyce, you were talking about how she would sense there was something else. She came right out and did these visualizations where I could not deny. She helped me to see what the issues were, and then she helped me tap them away. And you're right, she leaves you with tools that you can use over and over again. And she changed my life, quite frankly. I had been stuck, and I knew it, and I knew it, I knew it. I kept saying to people, I can't move forward, I can't move forward. And now I'm moving forward. So thank you, Jackie.
Well, I agree with that. And I think that for me, I remember when the first time I met you, Jackie, and you said, "Are you the feng shui person?" I said, "Yeah, but I'm not telling anybody." Right. And so I mentioned chronic low back pain, but I'm so used to it. I've had it so many years. I just, it's just, I live with it. It's there. Right. And you said, "Well, no, maybe we can do something about that." And here I am in front of a camera. I mean, I would never have done this. So something shifted. I came forward.
Every day for the last month, I'm like, hey, I got an idea. Hey, I got an idea. At one point, she's going to say, I don't want to hear your ideas. Stop it.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
up to
funny
1
now.
o'clock every night.
Now when I have a pain someplace, I call Jackie and I go, okay, I've got this pain and I know it's got to have something to do with it. And I'll tell you what, I've saved a ton of money medically. Sorry to you doctors on the call, but I've saved a lot of money on doctors because it's like, I can't walk again. And she'll start to ask me some questions and we'll figure, oh yeah, okay, let's tap on that. Let's get rid of that. Send that back. And things tend to get better.
It's all crazy energy.
It's really crazy, but it works. And my low back pain, I haven't had it in years now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. This was wonderful.
And the lingering symptoms from the COVID-19, that your energy.
Kathy, can you turn it up?
I think your energy work really needs to be out there, especially with people with the lingering symptoms of COVID-19. And I know Maggie, you're a frontline worker, and I see you just got off work, and you're my idol. Thanks so much for fighting on the front line, and stay safe. But I think the energy work and the lingering side effects from COVID-19 is really, Jackie, your talent is really going to be needed more than ever.
Well, there's a lot of trauma that's being caused right now, and I really feel for the children who they've experienced trauma. All the kids who were used to going to school and overnight, their life has changed. So, and all the seniors who haven't been able to have their day. So there's a lot of trauma that's happening right now.
Right.
It needs to, we can heal it. We just got to get the word out. So.
Well, anything I can do to help you get the word out, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's it. We can stay and have drinks, or we should have said happy hour. Bring your drink with you.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Wendy, you are so welcome. You are so welcome. Thank you, Carol, and thank you, everybody. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. And again, I'll send out information if you want to get a hold of us. We have some exciting things coming up. Get on our email list. And yeah, let's shift the world and let's shift everything into abundance. So
And stay worthy.
yes.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Hi,
Bye
thank
now.
you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Pat and Jackie.
Thank you. So let's stop.